Yeah, hey guys. So I sat down with Rick and thought we'd put together a series of videos that would take you step by step. Actually, what these videos will be able to do is take somebody that literally knows nothing about QuickBooks Online and step by step take you through learning how to do it. So, and we're going to make each video real short so that it only addresses, how to create a purchase order or whatever. One of the first things I asked Rick to do is just kind of talk a little bit about, I understand that learning this stuff is, a little time consuming and so on and so forth, and some of the administration on the front end is a little time consuming, but I wanted Rick to talk a little bit about once you learn how to do this, what it does for you in the long haul, and how it makes your life easier and whatnot. So
okay. Hey everybody. Really one of the things that I've learned the most over the past year working with this version of QuickBooks and really getting into it is it can make your life so much easier if you understand it and you take the time to do the work up front. And by up front, I just mean simply having all of your vendors in correctly, putting customers in correctly, have your products and services in accurately with all the corresponding selling prices, costs, so on and so forth, all the way from inventory to ordering to generating bills to paying your bills. It just has certain steps that you go through, and completing the first step takes you to the next step. And once it's all in place, it just makes the admin part of it so much simpler, from writing your checks to paying your bills, so on and so forth. Another thing about QuickBooks is there's very few things that you can do that cannot be corrected. There's nothing to be afraid of by inputting something incorrectly. It can be fixed after the fact, but of course it's always easier just to
if you would, Rick, talk a little bit about you say that on a day-to-day basis or on a week-to-week basis that it saves you time. Talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Sure. So when I first started, I was doing things kind of around about, which is the way that I was taught or thought it had to be done. Just for an example, I was generating all of my orders to Park Place, Windwalker, and other suppliers manually, simply sending them a Word document that was typed up, what we want to order. They send you or us an invoice once your order comes in. At that point, everything needs to be inputted into QuickBooks, which you're duplicating your effort. When I realized that I could generate a purchase order through QuickBooks that automatically gets emailed to Park Place or Windwalker or Jab Distributors or Mantua, wherever, that submit your order, it's already in QuickBooks in the system, so that when the order comes in and you have an invoice, it's a very simple 3 or 4 clicks. You convert your invoice to a bill. It shows that you have that bill that you need to pay, which we'll get to at a later step. And it also puts all of that merchandise into your inventory accurately based on what came in.
So it sounds like you're eliminating like 3 steps in there. It sounds like you're saying that if you already have the manufacturer's info in there with their email address and all your SKUs from that manufacturer in QuickBooks correctly, when you go to order something from them, all you do is enter into QuickBooks your purchase order, and then it'll email it to them automatically, so you don't have to print it up and fax it over to them, and then they have to send something back to you, and so on and so forth. It does all of that for you, and then once you receive the inventory, all you got to do is hit a couple buttons. It tells QuickBooks that you've received it. Then it spits out
generates a bill,
and that generates a check.
It generates a bill, and it depends on what you have your vendors set up. Like Park Place is set up for a net 30, Windwalker set up for a net 15, somebody else is set up for a due on receipt.
Which is really important, because then QuickBooks tells you when you need to write the check for that individual. So you don't actually have to keep track of, okay, I received this on the 17th, I got to make sure that I send them a check by the 17th. QuickBooks automatically tells you today you need to write a check to this person, and this person.
Absolutely.
Because that's the way you set it up in QuickBooks that it's due. And then, so not only are you saving those steps, but the amount of time, and then also obviously on the back end reports and so on and so forth. Everything is already in there. So it's just a matter of clicking a couple of clicks of the mouse, which we're going to show them, or you're going to show them. And by the way, folks, I know nothing about anything right now. So we're literally going to do these steps. I'm going to be at the helm doing the steps. So, it's going to show you exactly how to do it from point A to point B. So I thought that all of this was on a day-to-day basis more tedious and more time consuming than if we just did things by hand. And apparently, well, from what Rick is saying, that's far from the truth. It makes things much, much faster, a lot less work, a lot less guesswork, because everything's already in there and it calculates everything manually.
Yeah, and you can take it, almost as far as you want, all the way from what we just talked about to just eliminating, paper copies of invoices altogether and saving them as if you get your invoices by email, you're just simply inputting everything in QuickBooks and saving a document. You're not having to print it out. Like I said, you're not faxing anything, you're not manually emailing anything, it's all tracked.
That's actually a good point. You mentioned that the other day, that it has eliminated paperwork for you. Because everything is digital right there in the computer, backed up through the clouds. So you're not actually printing things out and storing them
Right.
in.
You don't have to save all that paper copies of everything.
It's already in there. Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna get started on our next step soon. So we'll talk to you in a minute.